Wait, what? Hey, this is the Wait, what? Podcast with Mandy Brooke. I'm an entertainer, content creator, and musician. You may know me from my song parodies and funny antics on Instagram and TikTok. On my podcast, we try to make sense of the confusing parts of life because literally we're all winging it and have no idea what we're doing, and that's totally okay. So relax, grab a glass of wine, and let's chat. Hey, besties. I hope you're feeling a little sultry. Because today, in honor of witching season, we're going to be getting a little dark and mysterious, discussing dark feminine energy, what it is, what it looks like, and how we can start implementing it in our lives. I'll even give you a little ritual you can do at home to help your dark femininity blossom. But before we get started, a little housekeeping is in order. A few episodes ago, I mentioned I was going to share one of the scariest things that has ever happened to me in my life, which involved a dear friend of mine in honor of Halloween. But upon working on the episode, I realized that acknowledging the energy, the ghost, the spirit in the story was kind of bringing it back to me in certain ways. So I thought it best to leave it to rest for now. No pun intended, and maybe revisit it in the future for another Halloween episode, or maybe not. Maybe it just needs to stay buried. But luckily, I was planning on a dark feminine episode anyway, and what better time to talk about it than in October? I mean, it is the season of the witch, after all, and the dark feminine archetype is very witchy indeed. So I really love talking about feminine energy because embracing my flavor of it really changed my life in so many ways, like relationships, career. And the key word there is flavor, because feminine energy, it looks different on everyone, but the feelings, the essence of feminine energy is the same. I'm going to be speaking about it from my life experience as a woman, but just know every person on the planet has masculine and feminine energy. One is often more dominant than the other, but everyone has both. So if you're a dominantly feminine person or you want to enhance aspects of it, then this episode is for you. And I've also done plenty of other episodes on my podcast about feminine energy that I'll link in the show notes below. We often hear and experience the idea of feminine energy through the lens of light feminine energy. That's the nurturing, soft, gentle, loving, charismatic, infinitely delicious energy that every feminine possesses naturally. Different levels of it, of course, but this one-sided aspect of the feminine leaves out pretty key components of the full feminine, because like all things, balance is needed. Light aspects must be balanced with the dark aspects, because if you're too light feminine, then you're too nice. And if you're dominantly dark, then you'll be pretty lonely. And in order to embrace all of what divine feminine energy is, we must have both energies balancing together. So you'll know if you're off balance in your light feminine energy if you tend to be a people pleaser, if you're constantly caring about the needs of others to the point of neglecting yourself, if you feel uncomfortable in your skin, or you feel the need to over-explain yourself and your decisions to everyone. Light feminine energy is absolutely necessary, but too much, even of a good thing, is still too much. If you can relate to any of those aspects, then it's time to embrace your dark side, bitch. That was a good evil witch laugh. Wow. Personally, I tend to lean into my light feminine nature very naturally. I really enjoy making making people feel really comfortable and warm in my presence. And it's actually one of the best compliments I can receive as a person when somebody walks away from an interaction with me and is like, oh my gosh, I feel like I can tell you everything. Like, you're so nice to be around and I feel so confident after talking to you. Like, that is my lifeblood. I love giving that to people. But I found that leaning too hard into my light feminine energy, especially in my younger years, left me very susceptible to be taken advantage of by people or situations. Like, Do you know that feeling after you leave a meeting or a social gathering and you feel a little sick to your stomach for like no reason? Thinking, I should have quoted them more money, or why did I agree to help them when I have so much on my plate already? Like, why did I do that? We'll find ourselves chucking and jiving to the rhythm of those around us rather than following our own song. And that's what dark femininity helps us balance. Now, don't get me wrong. Our light feminine nature is so necessary and so powerful. But you have to start thinking of that delicious, nurturing, soft, loving piece of you as the prize. It's not your full-on default mode, because this light energy isn't given to everyone, and it shouldn't. The purpose of dark feminine energy, in my eyes anyway, is to protect this beautiful, delicate piece of you. It's also to fulfill the feminine's creativity, passion, power, and sensuality. So, what is dark feminine energy? In a nutshell, the Cliff Notes version. The dark feminine oozes. She's mysterious, selective, assertive, passionate, authentic, and quietly confident. Her presence is almost like a sultry dance. She's very comfortable with her body and her sexuality. And in confrontation, she doesn't react. She responds, keeping her emotions under control. She possesses great value in herself and communicates clear boundaries. She understands she is not responsible for how others feel about her. Magnetic, fierce, sensual, creative. This is the dark feminine. The dark feminine also loves themselves unconditionally. They are their first priority. And she focuses all of her nurturing and love within. She doesn't rely on other people's validation to measure her worth. She sets her boundaries, and she allows people to show their dedication through their actions. She doesn't waste her time, and she's extremely selective. In modern times, we think of the dark feminine archetypes like Lana Del Rey, Angelina Jolie, Monica Bellucci. Is it Belushi or Bellucci? Whatever. Anyway, she's my favorite. Beyonce, Megan Fox, especially Megan Fox. I mean, watch Jennifer's Body for 5.2 seconds and you'll totally see what dark femininity is, exaggerated, of course. And we'll also see it in religious and mythological figures as well, like Ma Kali, Lakshmi, Oshun, Lilith, etc. And throughout all of these women and archetypes, there are a few connecting factors that flow through all of them. And we're going to talk about a few main three in a second and how we can implement them in our own lives. But first, a word from our sponsors that make this podcast possible. I've been on a glow-up journey, y'all, improving myself and my teeth. I've been discreetly straightening my teeth with Bite Invisible aligners, and I freaking love it. Bite has made improving your smile affordable and accessible, working with a network of licensed orthodontists and dentists who prescribe at-home day or night treatments. No expensive office visits, just fast and professional results in 4 months, and most plans can be covered by insurance. Every doctor prescribed treatment includes their HyperBite device, teeth whitening treatment, free retainer, and a lifetime guarantee. Start your Bite journey today by ordering your impression kit for only $15 by clicking the link in my show notes and using code MandyBrookOfficial, which will also get you a discount on your treatment as well. Smile big and begin your glow-up journey too. Red light therapy can cost an arm and a leg, but Hygge Health has made at-home red light therapy devices affordable and effective. Using red and near-infrared light, Hygge devices stimulate your cells to produce more energy, improve the elasticity and collagen production in your skin, grows your hair, lowers inflammation, decreases muscle pain, and so much more. As a skincare junkie myself, I've been using my Hygge devices for over 3 years. I love my Pro 300 device, which I use for 5 minutes a night before applying all of my lotions and serums. Click the link in my show notes and use code MandyBrook for 10% off your Hygge red light device. Okay, let's dive into some of the key aspects of the dark feminine. Number 1, she moves in silence. And she moves slowly. We'll get into that later. So the dark feminine woman has an air of mystery about them. They can be famous or have celeb status, and they can actually be very warm and delightful humans, but they keep things to themselves. They move in silence. She doesn't announce what she's doing, who she's doing it with, what career moves she's making, mostly because she doesn't need to be validated by anyone else but her. Her inner circle is very, very small. Only a few trusted individuals know her on a really deep level. And one thing the dark feminine will never do is post revenge pictures on social media after a breakup and subtweeting weird song lyrics on her IG stories. I'm the best you'll ever get. Oh my God, please never do that. Just don't. She's not afraid to be vulnerable when it's appropriate, like creative pursuits or what have you. But you're not going to know everything she's up to. And that is crucial. My belly just growled a lot. I didn't fart, if you guys heard that. It was very dark feminine of me. So how can we implement moving in silence in our lives? I personally abide by the 10% rule. What is this, may you ask? Well, I made it up to regulate myself. So women chat, it's just what we do. We love to process shit and bond, and I thoroughly enjoy shooting the shit and getting advice from my best girlfriends. But sometimes we can get carried away, especially when we're drunk bonding in the bathroom. It's a true primal experience as women. But my rule of thumb is I only tell personal things to people who I value their opinion and advice. Other people only get 10% of the tea. And that's only if I tell them anything at all. They're going to hear oh, we broke it off. It didn't really work out. Not I caught him cheating and that I cried for 5 hours on my bedroom floor because of my father abandonment issues when I was 5. Pull it the fuck back, bitch. Pull it back. Don't go there. It's dangerous. You know why? Because people are fucking ruthless. I lived in a very naive world for a very long time thinking oh, they'd never do that. Bullshit, they will. They will take the details of that drunk story you told, keep it in their bitch database, and use it to press your pain buttons and manipulate you in the future. They fucking will. The dark feminine doesn't fall for the bait because she knows the more she emotionally reacts, the more she reveals about herself, her triggers, her traumas. She doesn't give people the bullets they need for their pistol to operate. And the one thing about the dark feminine is she is no victim. She actually uses her traumas as fuel for her inner growth, which we'll talk about in a bit. She positions herself on the battlefield of life on the top of the hill, keeping her arsenal hidden and only coming out when it's strategically necessary. Another way you can be strategic as a dark feminine is by moving slowly. I know it sounds weird, but bear with me. Your body language reveals a lot about you. Just like a card player needs a poker face to not show his hand, your body language communicates way, way more than what words can. So if we're fidgeting or biting our nails or twirling our hair incessantly, it shows that we're feeling insecure and uncomfortable. What the dark feminine does so well is she moves with intention and confidence. She's unintentionally sexy with how she adjusts her hair ever so slightly before reaching down to her drink and stroking the wine glass stem. She just moves slower. So before you begin feverishly shaking your leg, or attacking the shrimp cocktail at an event, just slow the fuck down, breathe, adjust your posture with intention, calmly walk over to the buffet, grab a shrimpy or two, breathe again, take a bite, enjoy that bite. Pretend you're Monica Bellucci eating a shrimp. You know what? I'm going to base my entire life motto on that. How would Monica Bellucci eat a shrimp? Monica would be savoring each little bite, and she'd be feeling how the shrimpy felt in her tummy. And then she'd be so enamored with the feeling of the satisfaction of the little shrimpy, she wouldn't even notice the hottie walking up to her and scaring her a bit. And then she would just feed the other half of the shrimpy to him without a word. Wow. Monica, I really hope you're listening to this because I just created an entire fictional world where you help me move through life with an effortless, shrimpy ease. Thank you so very much. Moving on. Number 2, the dark feminine is unbothered, detached. She knows her boundaries. Now, that doesn't mean that the dark feminine is an unemotional robot. Actually, quite the opposite, because like we said in the beginning, the dark feminine protects the light, loving, nurturing nature of the divine feminine. So naturally, she's going to be very selective on where she puts her energy. The dark feminine doesn't hold on to broken situations hoping to change them. She doesn't attach herself to emotionally unavailable men who aren't fulfilling her needs. She doesn't beg, she doesn't nag, she doesn't set rules. She just is. You either show her respect or she shows you the door, and not in a dramatic way either. A woman in her balanced dark feminine energy knows that her value simply comes from her presence. And if her boundaries aren't being respected, she simply removes her presence. No texting paragraphs, no over-explaining, just poof, gone, on to the next. She's not afraid to walk away because she knows that spiritually, internally, in her gut and intuition, that whatever she just released out of her life just made room for something that was actually meant to be there. She wasn't reliant on the presence of that other person in the first place to complete her. And those energetic blocks that were released, the lessons that were learned, she's thankful for all of it, good and bad. And she has the faith that the right thing will show up no matter what. The dark feminine aspects of us hold a lot of the abundance mindset that we strive for as women, that everything's going to be provided for us because we've built the confidence and the faith knowing that it will. A really good example of how to operate within the idea of detachment and confidence, of course, is of queens. You know, I gave this example in a past episode about femininity, but it bears repeating. Queens, goddesses, they don't just allow anyone to come into their castle and shit all over their gold walls. When a queen's rules or boundaries are disrespected, that other person is excommunicated, beheaded. I mean, don't kill people, obviously, but a queen simply doesn't have time nor the energy to deal with someone who isn't on her team. Your personal boundaries are the rule book where your femininity operates from, and your dark side enforces them. It allows you to see who a person really is so you can act accordingly. And acting accordingly doesn't always mean huge conflict and war, because queens aren't dramatic. Their confidence is silent. The feminine often executes their will by simply not engaging. They simply cannot be bothered by someone who isn't respectful, and it's why a queen's apathetic gaze is way more gut-wrenching than one of disdain. So how can we detach and set boundaries in our own lives? Identify your triggers, bitch. Yes, be unbothered by figuring out what actually bothers you. Sounds counterintuitive, but once we identify what our weakness is, we can actually affix it. We can actually address it and fix it and protect that vulnerable area. That way, we're not so caught off guard when we're faced with our trigger and possibly react emotionally, because that's the worst thing we could do. We also need to understand where we stand morally in order to set our boundaries. And that will look different for everyone, because you can't stand up for yourself if you don't know what you're standing for. So what is important to you in relationships, in love, friendship? What are the feelings you desire to feel in those situations? And what makes you upset? What triggers you? What grinds your fucking gears? And most importantly, and this is kind of the hard one to do, but what are you most ashamed of? Are there certain events in your life that you do feel shame? Write it all in a journal and then read it out loud. Just simply get to know yourself on a deep level. But be mindful of not beating yourself up. This is not like a punching bag sesh. This is a chance for your light femininity to just love yourself internally the way that it's supposed to, because dark feminine is very selfish. It internalizes all of that beautiful light femininity within, right? So love on yourself, give yourself patience, forgive yourself. And then you'll be able to set those boundaries very, very clearly, because you'll know yourself inside and out. A super hypothetical, simple example is Chelsea. We love Chelsea. Chelsea prioritizes feeling safe and stable and connected to her partner, but she's realized in her last relationships and situationships that sex is not something that she can do casually. She gets emotionally attached, and she has reflected and is mature enough to understand that she cannot handle that. So while dating, a boundary she naturally has is no sex for at least the first 30 days of knowing a new partner. I think that's pretty basic. Everybody is very different, and I'm not saying you have to wait or whatever. This is fucking Chelsea's story. Do not judge her, okay? It's her path. And because Chelsea formed that beautiful structure of boundaries so her femininity can thrive, she stays really warm and delightful and playful with her partner, and she allows the man to show her what he is capable of. Does he show up on time? Does he have a plan? Does he pressure her for sex when she clearly says she's not down yet? Does he create an environment of security for her to let her vulnerable, light, feminine nature shine? If the answer is no, she doesn't try to make it work. She lets it the fuck go. And she has faith that the right man will come along. This is a perfect example of how the light and the dark aspects of someone can balance each other out and create harmony, because the dark is recognizing the vulnerability of the light. And so that boundary was created to protect the prize. Get it? Ha. The third and final aspect of dark femininity that we'll discuss today is the fact that the dark feminine is always leveling herself up. She strives to be a better version of who she was yesterday, and she only surrounds herself with people who are above her, who she can learn from, who she admires. Dare I say, she's very selfish and selective with her time. And she knows the key to cultivating confidence is by caring for herself. So she has a skincare routine, a movement, exercise routine that she's excited about. She's selective with not only the people she surrounds herself with, but the foods that she eats. Her body is a temple, and not everyone has access. Her leveling up is a constant and raw journey that she honors and accepts. She does not judge the process. She surrenders to what the universe has to show her. She also levels up by looking her best. She pays attention to how she's dressed because she knows that's everyone's first impression of her. And that can look different for everyone. Everyone has their own signature style. So I always judge it like, how do I want somebody to feel around me based on the clothes that I'm wearing? So if I want somebody to feel warm and cozy around me, I'll wear like a pretty wrap dress. It's feminine. If I want someone to take me really seriously in a meeting, I'm going to wear slacks and like a nice blouse. It's intuitive. You just find what works for you. But I definitely suggest figure out what your KIBBE body type is and your color season. You can search these terms in YouTube and discover a plethora. Is plethora even a word? Anyway, that has changed my life a lot. Like knowing what colors go with my skin. For example, like I am a KIBBE romantic body type. So I stay away from certain clothes because I know it's not going to really suit my body well. And I look really good in like pinks and royal blues. So I've been implementing that more in my style. I'll link a few YouTube videos in the show notes to get you started. It's definitely a journey figuring out all of these things, but it's a journey worth taking because you want to put your best foot forward, right? Another way that you can implement these aspects of dark femininity is, like I said, being selective with the people you're surrounding yourself with. If you've ever been in a situation where you're in a group of people and you just feel completely drained, they gossip all the time, they're not really serving you in a positive way, then they are energy vampires and you need to eliminate them from your life. Period. End of story, full stop. As we get older, it's definitely a quality versus quantity thing with friends. My circle is so much smaller than it used to be, and I really prefer it. So speaking of leveling up, routines, and a frog in my throat, obviously, I'm going to be taking you through a really cool dark feminine ritual that will help your femininity bloom. So the centerpiece of every divine feminine person is the sacral chakra. This is the energy center in the body that is the storehouse for creativity and passion and sexuality, and it's often suppressed in women by various traumas. The sacral chakra is represented by the color orange, and it's located right below the navel, and it plays a crucial role in the balance of one's emotional and physical well-being. Balancing and aligning the sacral chakra is believed to be essential for overall health and harmony in one's life. So I'm going to take you through a little ritual to balance your sacral chakra. And I'd love for you to take these instructions and materials and get what you need right after this podcast so you can do this ritual and show yourself some love. So the materials you'll need: a quiet, comfortable space, a cushion or a chair to sit on, an orange candle. I got mine from TJ Maxx, so it doesn't have to be some mystical, metaphysical candle. It doesn't have to be crazy. And you can also get like a carnelian stone. I have 3 at my altar with my orange candle, so that's really good. And then play some sacral frequency music. And I've attached my favorite frequencies in the show notes below. So here are the steps. Find a quiet, comfortable space where you won't be disturbed and arrange the materials in front of you. Stretch a little bit, shake your hips, stretch your pelvic floor, and get some blood flowing in your root area. You can even take a walk in the grass outside with your bare feet to rid some of that excess energy. You can also put on like a sultry, beautiful playlist that makes you feel real sexy so you can feel your body and really like move into your meditation. I want you to sit comfortably, and I want you to light the orange candle in front of you. As you light this candle, close your eyes and express gratitude for the moment that you're in, for the love and appreciation you have for your body, and for the privileged time you can take to be with yourself. And really focus that love in on your sacral chakra. Focus on your breath. Close your eyes and take slow, deep breaths. And then when you're ready and comfortable, visualize a glowing orange light on your navel center, on your belly. And picture that light growing brighter with each breath. Focusing on that orange light, bring so much love to that area of your body. You can even place your hands on your belly to caress it. And then I want you to say the following words, or something like it. I cultivate balance and harmony every day by being open to creativity, passion, and joy. I trust my feelings and intuition. And then just sit with yourself. You can call it meditating. You can call it whatever you want. I call it showing up for myself. For 10 minutes, just close your eyes, keep envisioning that glowing orange, beautiful light above your belly, above your navel center, and feel the energy of your sacral chakra flowing freely and harmoniously. Honestly, when you put your awareness on your sacral, you'll start feeling like pings and stuff in there. It's so cool. I love it. And then when you're ready and comfortable, you can close the ritual. So extinguish the candle and thank the energy of the sacral chakra for its balance and vitality. It's best to do this ritual at night, specifically under a full moon. I know it sounds really witchy, but it's true. The evening time holds so much beautiful energy for the divine feminine to play with, and I tend to do all of my spiritual practices in the evening. And make sure you're not putting so much pressure on yourself to clear your mind of thoughts. You know, our minds are made to think, and it's okay if your mind is racing during this quiet time. Just listen to her, give her some patience. Don't judge the process. The more and more you do this ritual or meditate in general, the less loud your mind will become. So it just comes with practice. Alrighty, well that about does it for this episode of Haha Wait What. And if you loved this episode, if you could do me the biggest favor and rate and review this podcast so it becomes more and more visible to besties like you. Until next time, be a fucking delight, bitch.